money down. Choose from our biggest
Hi.
refrigerators ranges different.
Well, I'm coming to you today because I want to let you know that I know what it feels like now to actually recognize how depressed I have been for so many years, because I get up every day now and I have energy and I can take care of my responsibilities and my family. But I'm still dealing, with the emotions in regard to my husband. My gut instinct tells me that he is not being faithful. I was wondering why he wasn't sleeping during the day, for the past 2 or 3 days. Because normally in the past he was always complaining that he couldn't get sleep and he was so tired. Because I would try to cram our time in together during the day, because he has a split shift in which there's an apartment in Milwaukee after his first route, which is only like a couple hours. But, I found out that he wasn't working nights for the past, a few nights, so he was just sleeping in Milwaukee. And I just found that odd, because I just had come up with a plan last week that if he's not working the nights, that he could come back home after his 2-hour run and spend time with the family, and we could have sit-down dinners together. I've always been about trying to make this split shift job work because of the fact that it takes him away from home so much. And I don't know. I just... how you just kind of just know. And I know that I don't have any kind of proof. But his actions and his demeanor has changed so much towards me since, probably the beginning of summer. And if I really think back, 2009, just oddness. And if anything, I think I am finally able to have these emotions without completely becoming unglued and becoming a complete raging lunatic. I'm feeling the sadness, and I recognize that I don't feel that he's been totally honest with me about a lot of things. Just a lot of things that don't add up. The hardest part about being so depressed and going through all the emotions that are involved with depression is that you begin to feel like you don't know. I always look at myself and I say I need to be accountable. And I know that many times I turned to my husband because I felt he was my rock. And I ended up alienating myself from all my friends. And I didn't realize really the scope of what was happening. I knew I was depressed and I knew I was spiraling. And I knew that I was withdrawing from everything that I normally would be involved in. And that my whole personality was changing. And that I was struggling, and I would just beg him, to understand that what I needed most was his love. And I thank God that I had some friends that would literally drive out to the house to see if I was okay, because they couldn't get a hold of me. And, after, being on this antidepressant for even just, a few days, I'm recognizing that even in times when I would let my husband know what was happening, and that he never really was helping me seek out any kind of services. I know that being in and out of the hospital and going over your discharge papers and letting him know he's part of my support system and these are the signs to look for. You see, I have intelligence. I can see what's happening to me, enough to ask for that help. But it seemed that it got so bad. I mean, so bad that, I just literally couldn't function at all. And it almost seemed as though he was playing mind games with me, to the point where what was reality and what wasn't. When things didn't make sense, I never got good answers. I never got answers that made sense. And what ended up happening was being in a perpetual cycle of cognitive dissonance, which I think would drive anybody insane. But I'm so happy I had friends that didn't really know how they couldn't really, understand. I know they must have felt so hurt because I was shutting them out of my life, and none of it was intentional. It was as though I felt I couldn't speak to anyone, that I just was not myself. I was lucky if I had one day a month where I felt happy, and I was so thankful when that would happen. But regardless, tonight, because I had talked to him about, it's odd that you haven't been sleeping during the day, while I'm cleaning. And he said that, well, that's so he can help clean during the day. Personally, I know that he's done some detailed stuff, but I just found it very odd because my whole idea was to make things work, to make sure he could sleep during the days so that if he's not working nights, he can be home with us instead of in Milwaukee. And I brought up the point that, well, you never see your children. And I just let it go. So he decided tonight, he said he's not doing anything shady. And that I should, pick him up and take him back home so that we can have a sit-down dinner together. And I'm going to do that. And I'm sitting here waiting for him in Jackson to get here to follow him down to Milwaukee. And then to drive back home so that he can spend the whole evening with our family. We can sit down and have dinner. But I know things. I know that he's not being completely honest with me about a lot of things. And now I know I'm not crazy. And the one good thing is that I can still feel my emotions, but they're not hijacking my brain. And one huge progress, one thing that I'm very proud of is that since I've been going through tremendous pain since probably September, I have had many times where I felt like I didn't want to live just because I wanted the pain to stop. But I didn't. I did not try to commit suicide. And that is progress for me. And that was without an antidepressant. I have to remember the progress. And I have to remember that I'm going to get through this. And I have to remember that we all have autonomy and that the most important thing is to take care of myself and my health, and to continue on with my schooling. And believe me, that's been hard. I've been going on and off with that, because of having these emotional issues going on in my life. But I am back in class today, and I will not quit. I am going to get my degree. And I am learning so much from everything that's happened in my life that I think that it's going to help me be a very, very good therapist one day. Because I'll tell you, empathy, That's something I got, and that's something that cannot be taught in a textbook. So I want to thank all of you for your comments, and I want to thank, I received the most amazing video from MK Electric called Vision, and I want him to know that it came at a perfect time. I really needed to see that video in that moment, and I don't believe that things just happen by coincidence. I feel that was it was delivered at a time when I really needed it, and I thank you, MK Electric. I thank all of you for your support, very much so. And with that, I will end this video. Take care, everyone. Bye now.